It is time to check in with Dr. Joe Schwarz. He, of course, can be heard weekends, Sundays at 3 here on CJAD 800. He is also director of the McGill Office for Science and Society. And Joe, I mentioned just before we went to break, I love when you start a sentence with nonsense because oftentimes that's what we end up talking about. So let's jump into it. The nonsense you say that is iridology. So first we need to explain what iridology is.
Well, iridology is a prime example of a pseudoscience, the belief being that you can look into someone's eye and look at their iris and diagnose disease. And the reason that I'm talking about this is because, as you said, I like to bring nonsense to light, and also because of its rather interesting history. And it all goes back to a young boy by the name of Ignác Petely in Hungary. So that makes me extra interested. And he was attacked by an owl, and he fought off the owl, and in this fight with the owl, the bird broke its leg. And young Petely, feeling, I guess, somewhat remorseful, took the bird home and tried to restore it to health, and he looked into the bird's eye, and he noted something surprising. He saw a dark stripe in the colored part of the bird's eye, the one that surrounds the pupil.
Okay.
And somehow, he came to the conclusion that this was because of the broken leg. And as the leg healed, he kept looking at the eye, and the black stripe disappeared. So he came to the conclusion that the broken leg somehow was reflected in the stripe on the eye, and when the leg healed, the stripe went away. He actually became a physician, and he began to look into people's eyes and diagnose disease, and then diagnosed imbalances in various organs and try to cure them with, absolutely no evidence to this. But, of course, there's always the placebo effect. And when you tell someone that you're going to help them, 30 to 40% of the time, it works, even though it doesn't have any physiological effect, but it has a mental effect. But we don't, in science, dismiss something as nonsense just because it seems scientifically implausible. The reason we dismiss it is because studies, believe it or not, have been carried out on this. And iridologists were given color slides of the iris of 30 patients who had some sort of orthopedic trauma to the leg or to the arm, and along with 30 pictures of people who had no history of such trauma. And the question was, could they identify the pictures of the people who really had some sort of trauma? And as you might guess, no surprise here, there was no way that they were able to identify which pictures of the iris belonged to the people who had some sort of ailment.
So I need to admit something at this point. A few years ago, I went with my then girlfriend to a clinic or someplace that actually does this, and they give you this drawing, and they show you a line, and they say, this indicates you might have a kidney issue, or and it was like a legit, it seemed like a legit kind of business.
It seems like legit,
But there's nothing there?
There's nothing there. And neither is there anything to do a similar diagnosis based on earlobes, which they also do, or the sole of your foot, which also, there are claims that it connects to various organs in the body. And this is, of course, not backed up by any kind of anatomy. But wishful thinking will, get you quite far. And,
okay.
This is, to me, it's a sort of humorous thing. And
unless you spend money getting it done, in which case it's not so humorous, right?
And unless you really go because you think that you have something wrong with you, and the iridologist identifies something and tries to treat it, of course, in some nonsensical way, but it misleads you from seeking proper medical care.
I just thought again, I was in Mexico not that long ago, I don't know, a few months ago, and if you walk down this particular street in this town, there's actually someone there that has a shop where you walk in and they do the eye thing and iridology and whatever else. So,
undoubtedly they will try to sell you something.
I'm sure they will. It's good that you might. I would have never have thought of that. It just all seems so legit till, of course, you realize it's not. All right, let me get to the next story, which is a new cosmetic product that you say claims to mimic the action of the sun. What I thought that was called a tanning lotion or something.
Exactly. Well, I mean, this is really interesting. Cosmetic really is the story of selling hype in a jar, right? And, they have all the terms: moisturize, anti-aging, rejuvenating, nurturing, hydrating, all of these terms. But now they're introducing something new, and this is neurocosmetics. And these are set to forge a link between the mind and the skin.
Oh, no.
Now, there is actually such a link. I mean, we know scientific evidence indicates that people who have acne or who have eczema or psoriasis, that it gets worse with stress. That's well known.
Okay.
So the question is whether or not there's anything that you can put on the skin that does the reverse, that relieves stress. So that's what this is all about. This company, Givaudan, which is a big French cosmetic company, has come out with a product that they say mimics the effect of the sun. And what this does, supposedly when you put it on your skin, it increases the production of melanin. Now, melanin is the pigment that's responsible for skin color. And then they go on to say that this will result in more happiness hormones like endorphins and oxytocin being formed in the body, and that because you'll be mentally well, your skin will also be happy. Now, they're kind of taking a smidgen of science and stretching it way, way out of proportion. I mean, even if we accept the fact that it does increase melanin production, that would be something really novel, because many companies have searched for something like that. No one has come up with it. But let's say that this is true. So what they're really saying is that if you have more melanin, you will feel more comfortable going out into the sun because you feel that you are more protected by the melanin.
Okay.
And that is what would cause you to feel happier. However, of course, that's not the way that they say it. They use these weasel terms, that suggest that it is putting this on your skin that is going to have some sort of effect. And obviously, as you said, you could get the same thing by just putting on some sunscreen and going out into the sun. And that would be a lot cheaper than...
I was going to say, and I'm sure it's pretty expensive too, right?
Yeah, it's called NeuroGlow.
Of course, and then it's expensive. Neuro.
Not a bad name.
Yeah, it's got the word neuro in it. You're going to pay more because it's got neuro in it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for busting a couple of myths today, Joe. Appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome, Aaron.
There you go. Dr. Joe Schwarz, host of the Dr. Joe Show. You can catch him, as I said, Sundays at 3 here on CJAD 800. Iridology. Waste the money, waste it. Wow.